are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So our podcast is about your journey in the music industry and how you got to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. So tell me about where you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in Westport, Connecticut, which is actually where I am right now. I've been
Okay.
at home with the rents for the past 3 months.
With the rents.
Yep, it's like being a child again. So yeah,
Yeah.
Westport, Connecticut.
Fun times. You're not living in Connecticut, I take it now?
No,
Okay.
I'm in Los Angeles. But
Okay.
because of the Rona, I am at home with my family.
At least you're home and not stuck by yourself somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
So Connecticut, tell me about growing up there and how'd you get into music?
Yeah, so I don't know about the rest of Connecticut, but Westport is very arts driven and actually very musical, and it's lovely. I grew up being in the choir in school, doing a lot of theater here. My mom's a musician. She's a jazz vocalist and an opera singer, and my grandmother's a musician, so it kind of is just been
runs in the family.
Yeah.
When did you start singing? You said you were in like choir and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to say like when I was 1, but we all know like people are like, oh, I've been singing since I was 1. It's like, but I want to say like legitimately like probably 5. I started around 5 and then slowly eased my way into voice lessons, and yeah, a young age, definitely.
Very cool. Do you play an instrument?
I do. I play piano and a little bit of guitar, but I started piano. I can say I play piano. Guitar, I'm trying.
Piano. How old did you take lessons growing up for piano?
Yeah. So thankfully, my mom's like, Emma, gotta start. Like, if you want to do music, gotta start young. So I started with Suzuki at age 5, classical piano until I was 12, and then I started doing like jazz and more like improvisational ear training until when I was 13 to like later. So
okay. When did you start writing music?
Funny you should ask. I think right when I started like shifting from classical piano to more like creative piano, I guess, that's when I wrote my first song. I was 12.
12, huh? Wow. Lyrics and everything?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
but still, wow. Tell me about that. So what did you do with that first song? Did you perform it for people? Is that what kind of got you into songwriting and performing?
Yeah. So I like specifically remember I was actually in Manhattan at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to play around a little bit. And I was like, wow, look at all these lights around me. I'm in the big city. So the song was called Lights, and it was not very good. I played it for my parents, and they would listen. Yeah, I didn't really do much with that, but I think that kind of is what like sparked my tumult into
music and everything. Right on. Were you in like a band or anything in high school, or just performing by yourself?
Yeah, it was mostly like me being emo, sitting at the piano being like, oh. Like at my high school, like to anyone who will listen. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I was in my own band.
Oh, really? Did you perform and stuff aside from, you'd go out in like coffee shops? Tell me about some of those performances.
So I would say probably like the biggest thing I would do is I was part of something called Records in Tune, which was our high school mascot, where we went to nursing homes and we performed for the people in the nursing homes. So that was kind of like the biggest thing that I did when I was in high school. I didn't really start like gigging until college, but
okay. Yeah. Wow. So you'd go to nursing homes and stuff. That's really nice. That's cool.
It was nice. It was a good time.
They probably enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that was my earliest exposure to performing as myself. So
okay. And you said you went to college. Did you go to college for music?
I did. I went to Berklee College of Music.
Oh, wow.
I graduated in 2019. And I majored in, I did professional music, which is you choose your concentration. So I did performance and songwriting. So
Okay.
yep.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay. So you very talented. You get into Berklee School of Music. Tell me about the audition process or the application process for that.
Oh, it was absolutely wild. It was really interesting because I wanted to go to school for musical theater at first, because I thought like that's what I was meant to do.
Broadway type
Yeah,
stuff?
and thankfully I ended up at Berklee, and that was such a blessing in disguise. I was like, oh, maybe I can do theater at Berklee. I love songwriting too. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I clearly, I mean, for me at least, ended up where I was supposed to be. I auditioned with an original song, which I was happy I got in with.
Yeah.
It was a really great experience, and clearly, like, it opened my mind and my brain to the world of songwriting, how I felt like I was so much more myself singing my own music than other people's music. So that's kind of like what made me so passionate about songwriting versus anything else. Thankfully, Berklee kind of made my mind up for me. So
yeah, wow. Yeah, I heard the process to get in there is really gnarly. Like they'll just play a note and be like, "What is this?" or like, just show you like a bunch of written out music sheet and sheet music and be like, okay, what does this say? Like,
yeah, I mean, they had you like it was like a sight reading portion. So they're like, okay, you go into a room, a locked room for like 10 minutes. And they're like, learn these 3 like pieces. And I'm like, okay. So you do that. They like give you a piano and you're like, all right, come back and sing that to us. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
And they have you like, they like an amazing like pianist who is like your auditor will like play some jazz and you'll have to like improv over it. And I was like, I don't know how to do that, but I'll do it anyway.
Like just start singing randomly? Or
say what comes to mind when you hear this chord progression. I was like, okay.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you get into Berklee, which is amazing. And from there were you performing around like the school and stuff?
So my freshman year, I was actually still performing under the name Emma Charleston, which is my middle name. And I was performing as Emma Charleston, like around school. There were some like bars around that I played, some school showcases. And it wasn't really until my sophomore year, I booked my first gig at Rockwood Music Hall. It was my first gig as myself in New York. And that was great. And that's kind of when it started, like going from school shows to real life shows. And then after that gig, I ended up changing my name to Emma Charles because it was shorter and sweeter. And I feel like it was a little bit more me, like my vibe than Emma Charles.
Yeah. So
Emma Charles happened, and then it all happened from there.
Yeah. So you play that first gig and changed the name, Emma Charles, and what was next for you? Did you move to LA after you graduated?
So I left Berklee a semester early. So I did. I replaced my spring semester senior year with a summer semester early. So I was able to leave school a semester early and still graduate, which was great. I moved to Los Angeles in January of 2019.
Okay.
And I graduated in May of 2019. So I went back. And I was in LA for about 1.5 years since then.
And is that where you wrote like Far From Home? And it looks like you put another song out in 2018, Comfort and Chaos.
So those were like my Berklee songs. I was working with Doug Schott and I was able to like get him early. I love him so much. He was willing to work with me and I'm so thankful that he gave me that opportunity. And those I wrote while I was still at school. So I was who I was when I released it.
And then so you put those out. And then when you get to LA, well, like were you networking in Los Angeles? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, LA is wild. It's such a different like monster in itself. I love it. I'm so thankful to be there. It's really just wild though. I'm lucky to have a Berklee network there so I can like see people, you know, I go to a party and I see, oh, that person was in my conducting class 3 years ago, or like,
Oh, cool. So
cool.
you know other people that moved to
Yeah.
LA after
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
Got
Pretty
it.
much all of my close friends moved, even people I didn't know that well, but now have become friends with because of Berklee. So I am lucky that I was able to have that, but I have met some really, really amazing non-Berklee people as well. So when I first moved, I was trying to like get to know as many people as I can and play as many shows. And I met my amazing creative director in LA. I'm so thankful for that. And I've made some really good connections since I moved. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool. Tell me about putting out Connecticut. That's your first like EP, full length.
Yep.
And that came out this year.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what was the process in that? Because I know you have a new song out that's not on the EP, but I want to hear about Connecticut and that record.
Yeah. So I wrote a couple of the songs and I brought them to Doug. I want to get my dates right. I think it was like April 2019 was when I wrote the chunk of songs. He came to LA and we worked together for 4 days straight. And
Wow.
like we did a full-blown writing week where we just wrote as much as we could. And that's when a lot of the songs kind of came to life. Some of them I brought in previously, like You I had written, which was one of the songs off the Connecticut EP. You I had written previously, Scorpio I had written previously, but I brought them to Doug and we kind of like fleshed them out and rewrote some of the words that I had. So that's kind of when that all happened. Vertigo I did with a separate producer, Andrew Furs, who's fabulous. I met him in LA as well, and we wrote that together. And I felt like, so the 4 songs are Scorpio, You, Vertigo, and Connecticut. I have to like get my songs straight because there's so many of them. Yeah, those all kind of came to fruition around the same point in time, and they just made sense like timeline wise. It was basically like a year of just insanity. I was on the road touring for the majority of that year.
Wow.
Even after I had moved to LA, I was like leaving every other weekend to travel, and we had road tripped out to Los Angeles. So like we were on the road pretty much for 6 months, and a lot of this off that EP just like deal with the road trip and traveling and not really being in one place at one time. So that's sort of like what the glue for my Connecticut EP was. Sort
Wow.
of
Well, tell me about, so you were touring for the first time. How was that? And were you opening? Were you performing with someone? Tell us about the tour.
I was opening respectively for Howie Day and Tyler Hilton for their separate tours. I was flying out pretty much every weekend for either one of their shows, and it was a whole thing where we would go like, I would fly and meet the artist, do the show, and then the next day would immediately travel and then do another show at another location. And then I'd fly back to LA, and then the next weekend I would fly back out somewhere else for the other artist.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. I would not change it for the world. It was wild. It was absolutely wild, but it was amazing. I'm so thankful.
So you weren't like on the tour bus going on to each day. You were like physically flying and then
lugging all the guitars there and back. Yeah.
Oh
it was not the luxurious tour that everyone imagines for bus. Mm-mm.
No.
The luxurious tour. No, but it was great.
Was it fun performing in all those different cities?
I'd never done anything like that before. It was the first time I had performed in all of these places, and it was so nice because everyone, I feel like, was just very receptive to listening to new music. And I think that speaks a lot to the artists I was opening for because they're similar like genre wise to what I was doing. So the audience, I think, I don't know. I think they enjoyed it. I hope so. It was really good. It was such a learning experience because, like, I never had to go put myself in front of an audience who did not know who I was. I didn't know them, and like make them like me. And that I found that I was not great at the beginning, and I learned. I think it was, a learning experience. So towards the end, I think I was okay.
Just learning how to kind of work the room.
Yeah, like how do you just approach a room of 50 to 100 people you've never met before and like try to win them over? They don't want to see me. They want to see Howie or Tyler. And I was like, all right, showtime. Let's go. It was
Wow. Yeah. And did you have a lot of experience playing live prior to jumping on those tours, or were you mainly just writing songs? Okay.
I had a lot of experience performing live, just like in the same area. Like I never really was able to like travel out of the same area I was performing in. So I knew what to do. I just didn't know the way to make someone. And we went to Portland. Like I have some family members in Portland, but I don't know anyone in Portland. How do I make people in Portland like me? I don't know. I just did what I could. It's crazy. It's such a different experience, but
that's
it was
amazing.
Really
Yeah. With that Connecticut EP, are you signed to a record label?
So I am working with like label services right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working towards a label, fingers crossed in 2021. So I'm working with a really great team who support me in like music distribution and creative aspects, social media. Like I have a team, but we're working towards a label, and it's all good. I love my team so much, and they've been so supportive, and I haven't been able to do anything. I wouldn't have been able to do anything without them. So very lucky.
How did you meet them?
Yeah, so my mom, being a jazz musician, knew some people in the industry, so she was able to connect me through that. And then I was able to make some connections on my own, like my creative director, my producer. I just sort of like reached out to and was able to find, and I was working with this company that I just, I was so young, I didn't have any experience. I just reached out to them. I was like, hey, I really need help in like strategizing and planning, and they were all in. They helped me with that for a while, and I just kind of built it from me reaching out to like people, wanting to be in the sphere that I'm working in. So it was really nice that like I was able to just be like, hey, I need some help. I'm, this age and I would love to be in music. And thankfully it's just been very, very good. It's something more. So
very cool. That's awesome. And so like when you put out Connecticut, were you able to, is that what you kind of toured on with like Howie Day and stuff, or was that not out yet? Because it looks like that, I mean, if that came out this year, were you touring towards the end of 2019 into 2020?
I was touring in the beginning and I had some of the songs, but I'm not going to lie, I was performing them before they were their final version. And that's something else that I've learned about. It's like, Emma, just tour with songs that are done. But I didn't have them finished. I was like, okay, I have Scorpio, but it was a year before I worked on it. And I was like, okay, I think it's good, but it was so different than what it ended up being. But I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, that Emma Charles, she toured with those songs that were completely different to like what she released now.
I heard her at the show and then I bought the record and it was totally different.
To me, it's like, but like to them, it's okay. It's just something to know for the future. But I was touring with some of those songs that were pre-finished, but it's fine.
Okay, so you were touring before the record came out then. So when did you put out the EP?
So we did like one single every couple of months, starting with Scorpio, I believe late August 2019. I think it was about a year ago, like now-ish, or like early December. So it was that. So I had been touring with Scorpio, months before. Again, not in its final version. And then after that, we did like 2 or 3 months, a release every 2 or 3 months. And then with three songs, and then we released the EP with the extra song Connecticut on it. So it was sort of spread out.
Yeah, very cool. I'm sure you probably wanted to tour it more extensively, but Obviously, everyone's
Other
stuck
plans.
inside now. Yeah. So did you have like a big tour planned, scheduled, and it kind of got pushed to the side?
Yeah, I was going to go on tour for a month with the band Shell, based out of Nashville. And we were going to go, I don't want to say like a southern route, like a mid-south. We would do like Nashville, and we would go to Chicago, I guess that's Midwest, and Philadelphia, and Massachusetts, and New York. And we were going to go, even like South and North Carolina, like places I've never like played before. And I was so excited. And unfortunately, that got postponed.
Yeah,
So
bummer.
that's not gonna happen, but hopefully we reschedule for 2021. So I'm
Yeah.
a little bummed about that. It was a little sad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A little sad.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's too bad.
The most recent song you put out is 25.
Mhm.
Was that song already complete prior to COVID, or was it something you wrote in quarantine?
Yeah, so I had written 25 in the same span of time that I did. What did I do that week? Book 25. Another song that's not been released yet, and one other song. So it was during that 4-day camp. Oh, in Connecticut. It was
Okay.
that 4-day camp that I did with my producer Doug when he came to LA about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. So some of them were done a lot earlier, and they were done sort of together. But we figured that it would be better to separate the EPs sort of by feel and by timeline. So Connecticut was more about like my journey from the East Coast to the West Coast. And my second EP with 25 on it is sort of like my Los Angeles experience.
Okay.
And like, it's sort of it's blurred timelines as to when I wrote them, but different concepts. So it's like,
Sure.
they make sense.
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
So do you have the second EP complete? The one that has 25 on it?
It is complete. It's actually, yeah, it's been complete for like a year and a half now, and I've just been like twiddling my thumbs, waiting for it to like be time to be released. It's hard to sit on songs for that long. But
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Were done at the same time the songs in my first EP were done. It's just, they just made sense to be separate. So I've literally just been like, okay, is it time now to release this song? So thankfully it's now happening. So
Sure. Very cool. What about do you have other songs that you've been writing, I'm sure, since?
Oh yeah, I have 3 new completed songs. I have a frog. Hello? 3 new completed songs that I'd working on with Doug, actually remotely over quarantine. He was in New York and I was in LA, and I was, I saw Doug in New York the week of the beginning of March, which is right when Corona exploded. Okay. So I was so lucky that I was able to get 1 week with my producer before we had to be locked down.
You were in New York, or he came out to LA? Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so lucky, like the perfect timing. I was able to see him just the week before we had to stay home. So, so glad.
At least you didn't get stuck in New York. That was like the worst of it too.
We almost did. We didn't, but it was so close. Like I got like a flu or something, a cold, and I was like, I have Corona. I did not. But I was like, I was convinced. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I think everybody was there in the beginning. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy.
It was pretty bad. So thankfully I was able to see Doug for a week. We got some songs, we wrote them, but we didn't fully record them. So basically, Doug is such a trooper. He's great. He's like, Emma, you got a mic, you got some space, you're going to record your lead vocals on your own in LA. Okay. Thankfully, I had an engineer like in my circle who was able to help me out. So we did all of my lead vocals and harmonies and you know, the such in a closet in Los Angeles, remotely from Doug.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was quite the journey with these 3 new unreleased songs. So I do have some stuff in my back pocket that I'm working on. So
right on.
Yeah.
That's exciting. How are you promoting 25 by like doing, live stream type things? Have you been
Yeah.
doing that?
Yeah. I mean, when 25 did come out, it was more of a push, like an advertising push. We did a claymation lyric video. I guess it's not really
Mm.
claymation, but it was like a 3D little figurines that my amazing creative director was like, Emma, if we can't do like, I had this vision for like a 60s Beatle-esque like stage setup, and it would be like,
Mhm.
we'd all be set up like the Beatles, and it would be like all very cutesy. And I really, really wanted to do that. And Marina, my creative director, was like, Emma, we just can't. We can't. So she's like, okay, what can we do if we can't do that? So she was like, I know, I can make 3D like figurines that look like Emma and her band and set it
Mhm.
up in that 60s type stage set. And that's what we did for 25. That was our publicity thing. We were trying
Mhm.
to be creative as we could during quarantine. So it was a non-live lyric video with a figurine of me. It was
That's
pretty
cool
cool. I'm
though.
really happy with how it turned out. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
And that was something you guys were able to put together during quarantine.
Yeah. So she's from Australia, and she was home in Australia when she made it happen. There was like one other person like there who like did this stuff, and like she was able to do it with like one other person like very spaced out and in a room, and they were able to get it done in quarantine. And so much better than having 10 plus people on a set. We couldn't have done that. We just couldn't have done
Yeah, yeah, totally.
that. Just
And I
had to
did
be creative.
and I saw a video you did of 25, the at-home version.
Yep. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That was the second video. We did all quarantined from our homes. We all
Yeah,
played.
that's cool.
Yeah.
You're like singing in front of, it looks like you're in front of like a fireplace or something.
Yeah, I was like at home in Connecticut, like, you know, I was like, gotta find a space that looks good, but nobody needs to know that I'm like doing this. Like, my bottom half is pajamas. Like, nobody needs to know. It's fine. So that was
Yeah,
really fun. It was really
that's
nice. It
cool.
was a great band. Who's like, yeah, like let's do it. So
Nice, nice. And
yeah.
are you going live on your own on Instagram at all?
Yeah, I did one. I have been going live a lot, but they have been in conjunction with other like I don't what's the word, not brands, but like other
Other like channels and stuff?
yeah
Like
other
like you'll go on somebody else's Instagram
mhm,
channel type
yeah.
deal. Okay.
So I did live Jam in the Van, so I was like going live on Jam in the Van's channel. So that was
Yeah, sure.
it's been nice to be able to combine audiences like that, which I didn't think I could until like we just started doing live streams. I did it with them. I did it with another person with a quarantine series, Kabir Sagal. I was able to go live with him and do some performances from my home. So it's been fun, sort of like chatting with people and going live from home, and
Mhm.
not something I would have done otherwise. But it was really
Right.
yeah, fun. I really liked it. It's interesting and different, but it's a good
Yeah,
time.
is it
Gotta do what you gotta do.
is it more nerve-wracking doing that than if you were on a stage?
I wouldn't say nerve-wracking, but it's definitely a lot like weirder because you're playing a song alone. Like I did a live stream with an uncanceled music festival, and it was just I was very excited to be a part of it. It was like one of the bigger online music festivals,
Mhm.
and I had one guitarist, and he was like very, very much behind me, and I was, we were trying to be very, very good about it. And then after the song was over, it's just silent. That's
Yeah, you don't
really
hear any
fun for me.
cheering. You're
Yeah,
like
it's like I don't need cheering, but it's like the song's over, and it's like that
you're
was
like
the song.
you're like, did it suck? Was it
Right.
good? Yeah, like what
I
happened?
hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I'm
You have
like,
to go
I don't know
off
how to like
the hearts like going up on
right.
the
That
phone.
helped a little bit. But it was so funny. Like it's like you sing the final note and then silence. I don't know. Fun though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're currently in Connecticut.
Mhm.
Um, have you been there since the lockdown started?
So I started the lockdown in LA with my roommates in Hollywood, and we were together like through the thick of it. Like we did not leave our house from like March to the early June.
Oh, wow.
So for like a good amount of time, I was just locked down. And then in June, I flew from California to Connecticut to be with my family for a bit, just because we got a new puppy, and it's nice to be with my family now. So
Sure. Yeah.
I'm back in a week to LA after 3 months. So
Wow.
we're just trying to be as safe as we can and be in a good spot. So
yeah, we're in San Diego, and we're so right by you, but I know it's
so
bizarre. I thought we were I thought the curve was flattening or whatever, and now it looks like it's just turning the other way. At least here in California. I know.
Yeah, right on my way back, and it's just like getting worse. I'm like, oh no. But I'm excited to be back in LA. I think it'll be good. I think it's time.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Emma, so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I love chatting.
I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a really good question. I think what I learned about myself and my journey is like the most important thing, and the thing that will like get people to really listen to you is if you try to do only what you want to do. If you're trying to like mold yourself or like put out music that you think will make you money, or like, I'll be on really big Spotify playlists if I put out a song that's not me, but like will get me streams, it's not worth it. Because I think people can see right through that. Like if you make music that is true to yourself and like speaks your truth and tells your story, that will be the thing that draws people in. Like don't do what's trendy. Do what you want to do, and that's true to you. And I think people will be drawn to that more.